The sport of rugby league can be a roller coaster at times, and that's what makes it so special. This video includes the top 9 biggest comebacks in NRL history, when determined by the points difference, and it also includes one special comeback at the end of the video, which made it on the list due to its memorable occasion. We start off with the Panthers, coming back from being down 31-8 in the second half, to beat the Tigers 32-31, making this a 23-point comeback. This was the first season the Tigers had officially formed, combining the Western Suburbs Magpies and Balmain. The Tigers were favourites going into the game, sitting second on the ladder, but the Panthers down in 9th spot. The Panthers started strong with their opening try in the 4th minute, but the Tigers would take control and score the next 5 tries unanswered, 2 of them in the first half, with the halftime score being 13-8. Then the rest of the tries in the first 15 minutes of the second half, extending their lead to 31-8 to take them out to a 23-point lead. The Panthers would score their first comeback try in the 57th minute and would score the game-winning try in the 69th minute, scoring 23 points in 12 minutes. The round 18 match in the year 2000 ended with the score being 32-31 and the Panthers holding onto their lead. Next, we have the Dragons' comeback in 2004, trailing by 24 points, with the score at one point being 34-10, with Manly winning. Only just a few weeks out from the finals, Manly were holding on to a 24-4 lead over the Dragons at half time, then a 34-10 lead with 23 minutes left in the game. Towards the end, with 3 minutes left on the clock, the scores were sitting at 34-30, and the Dragons would go over to score the game-winning try. They scored 5 tries in the last 20 minutes to perform this miracle comeback at their home ground. This win by the Dragons was in round 25 in 2004, and helped keep their top 4 chances alive going to the finals. Now we have the Rabbitohs, who came back from being down 28-4 to steal the win from the Cowboys 29-28, making this another 24-point comeback. The game was held in round 16 of 2008, and with a steady but entertaining first half, the score going into half time was 12-4. The Cowboys came out firing in the second half, scoring in the first 2 minutes after the break and continued to roll over the Bunnies. They scored another try in the following minutes, and then a third shortly after, scoring 3 tries in the opening 7 minutes of the second half. But the Bunnies would bounce back, scoring in the 51st minute and continued to gain momentum, scoring more tries. They would score the final try in the 74th minute, and even slotting the conversion for the scores to be 28 all. Then, in the last minute of the game, Chris Sandow would kick the game-winning field goal from directly in front, completing their amazing comeback victory. Next, it's the Sharks with their comeback, and it was in round 17 of 2014, over the Roosters. Another 24-point comeback, and this one was extra special, because the Sharks did a similar thing in the previous week. They were down to the Broncos 22-0, and came back to win that game 24-22. But with this comeback against the Roosters, they were trailing 24-0, after only 30 minutes into the game. Just before halftime, the Sharks would go over to score their first points of the game, with the halftime score being 24-6. The Sharks came out firing in the second half, scoring relatively quickly and continued to use this momentum for the rest of the game, only to be halted by the Roosters, who would score another try in the 52nd minute, making it a 10-point margin at 28-18. The Sharks would bite back and score again to close the gap in the 72nd minute, and would complete the comeback in the 78th minute with the final try, winning the game 30-28. Next up, we have the Tigers, coming back from a 24-point deficit. It was round 23, 2001. The Tigers were trailing 24-0 to the Knights, with just 15 minutes remaining in the first half. This was also the year the Knights went on to win the premiership. The Tigers would claw their way back into the game in the second half, scoring 6 tries, and ended their 24-point comeback, winning the game, with the final score being 36-32. And next up, we had the Cowboys and their 24-point comeback to beat the Eels in round 13 of 2015. Parramatta opened the scoring with the first 2 tries, with the Cowboys bouncing back with the scores being 14-6, and the Eels would continue to dominate the first half, with the halftime score being 24-6. In the second half, the Eels would improve their lead in the 52nd minute, scoring another try making it 30-6 and winning by that 24-point margin. Then, in the 57th minute, the Cowboys would start their comeback, scoring a try, and in the 10 minutes to follow, they take the score from 30-6 to 30 all, scoring 24 points in those 10 minutes. Then, in the following set, they would score the game-winning try in the 68th minute, completing the comeback with the final score being 36-30. This game would see the Cowboys pull away to a 10-win streak in the season, and this would be the same year they went on to win the grand final. Truly an incredible comeback. Moving on, we have the Cowboys again, this time coming back from a 26-point deficit to beat the Panthers in round 12 of the 1998 season. Despite a strong start to the season for the Cowboys, they'll be trailing at half-time 26-0, and they would turn it up in the second half at the Panthers' home ground, scoring 7 unanswered tries, with the final score being 36-28. Now, it's the Panthers' turn to pull off a 26-point comeback, but this one's a bit different. It wasn't for the win, it was to draw the game. In round 21 2009, the Panthers played the Warriors and opened the scoring in the 7th minute, but it'll be their only points in the first half, with the Warriors returning with tries in the 12th, 16th and 33rd minute, with the score at half time being 20-6. The start of the second half continued to be strong for the Warriors, scoring in the 43rd minute and once again shortly after, taking their lead out to 32-6. But shortly after this, the Panthers would strike back, scoring a try bringing the team to life. They would score again in the 54th minute and the 69th minute of the game, making the score 32-24. And then with 3 minutes left on the clock, the Panthers would score and make the conversion, bringing the scoreline to 32-30. And following this, in the dying seconds of the match, they were awarded a penalty and made the conversion, evening the scores to 32 all, going into golden point. However, these ended up being the last points of the game, and that remained the final scoreline. And tying with the previous 2 comebacks on this list, with 26 points, equaling for the greatest comebacks of all time by a point margin, it's the Dolphins in round 8 of 2023. The Dolphins played the Titans, and the Titans came out firing. They were completely dominant in the first half, leading 26-0, only 28 minutes into the game. The Dolphins would go over just before the break, with the halftime score being 26-6. They would be the first to score in the second half, scoring a try in the 47th minute, and just 4 minutes later, they would go over to score again. Following this, the Dolphins would go over in the 65th minute to close the scoring to 24-26. And then, with 5 minutes left in the game, they would score the game-winning try, with the final scores being 28-26, equaling the greatest comeback in NRL history. Now, for our final comeback in this video. Unlike the others on this list, which made it for their points differences, this one is for its incredible circumstances. And it's the grand final of the 2023 season, with the Panthers clawing their way back from being 24-8 down to win the grand final and their 3rd premiership in a row. The game started with the Panthers opening the scoring and slotted over at penalty goal, with the end of the first half being the Broncos scoring just before the break, with the scores going into half time at 8-6. The second half would start off with the Broncos coming out firing, scoring 3 tries, putting them in front 24-8. And with 18 minutes left to go, the Panthers would hit back, scoring a try. They would follow it up with another in the 67th minute, making the scores 24-20. And with just 3 minutes left on the clock, Nathan Cleary would cross the line to score the game-winning try, with the final scores being 26-24, and this being the greatest comeback in grand final history. Now that's the greatest comebacks in NRL history. Let me know which one's your favourite in the comments. Thanks for watching.